Welcome back to another basics GameMaker Studio tutorial, and here I wanted to have a little focus on the normal inputs, which you can do with the keyboard, of course, then with the gamepad, with your D-pad, and then here you have a threshold, which is then for your thumbstick. You can actually have in between values, and then of course you can see you can have, let's say, a walk animation. Then if you're pressing a little bit harder on your thumbstick, boom, we are running. So this is the interesting part. So if you want to know how to do this and understand how that actually works, stick around. This is One Up Indie. So if you like what you're seeing, consider subscribing, sharing and liking, and hey, comments are more than welcome. So let's dive right into the good stuff, because it is not, hopefully not too difficult to understand. So the normal method is, hey, for the keyboard input, this is going to be very quick on my side. You just say, hey, keyboard check, and then this script will return a value between 0 and 1, and then of course you can store that into a variable, and then hey, if it's 1, sweet, move to the right, and if it's of course 0, then nothing will happen. Of course then you need a key, as you can see here, a key input value. And then this just stands for virtual key right, which is then, or the virtual keyboard on, well, this is then the key you're pressing. So sweet. Let's get rid of that because this is not the interesting part. Let's go into the gamepad. And here, let's, as you can see, I already did this video more than once. And normally you have tons of input keys on your gamepad. So here GP phase 1, 2, 3 and blah blah blah. Gamepad phase 1, 2, 3. So these are these ones, or for example the shoulder buttons, or of course the D-pad also. And they have one thing all in common, because just a value which can be 0 or 1. So they are binary also. So for example, you're pressing your, say, your yellow button, which is the Y on the, what is it, the Xbox controller, and then this could be of course then is 0 or 1 depending how hard you press it, and then this is then basically it. But you have those sticks and they work a little bit different because they have kind of zones on which they are operating. So here this is the interesting part. So let's make a simple movement with the gamepad, and what you can actually do, and this is kind of easy to pull off, you're just checking like, hey, this is how you can make it super fast and easy. You're just checking, hey, gamepad button, and then check. This is the same like with the keyboard, then 0 because hey, plug and pray. And if you plug in gamepad, then it gets a slot assigned which is starting with 0, and then of course if you're plugging in the second one, third one and so on, it's getting assigned then 1, 2, 3 and so on. And of course here it's just checking, hey, which kind of button do we want to check. And then for this thing, it works for those binary things, for the D-pad, for the regular buttons, or for the shoulder buttons. So easy peasy stuff. And of course once we, for example, started, then you will see that this thing does work as intended. So I'm, for example, pressing left or right. Actually, let's display that on in the draw event. So 1 second, so you can actually see this. There we go. And then you will see that we have a value between -1 and 1. So here we are not pressing it, and we're pressing right, and we're pressing left. And I guess it's impossible to press both of them. Let's check that out. Yeah, it doesn't work. If I'm pressing both, they will cancel each other out. So let's go back in here. So it does work. So here this could return 1, and this one can return 0 or 1 also. And as you can see, the maximum value can be -1 or +1 or 0. So only these 3 options are possible, and then boom, we say like, hey, update the X position. Easy peasy stuff, hopefully not too difficult to understand. But now let's go into the interesting part of the video, hopefully the interesting part, and we want to have the input on the, let's say for example, the horizontal axis. And here, as you can see, it's not a button, but gamepad axis, and then value, because here you get back a value. Once again, the 0 device, the first one, and then you have GP axis, and then left, and then horizontal. So let's go into the drawing again. So we are accessing this thing here, so GP axis L H. So here left horizontal, and then this can have a value between -1 to 1, of course 0 in the beginning. So here you kind of have a range of values you can get out. So let's check them out. Let's go back. As you can see, Gamepad access value, and then we are displaying that as a text above also. And as you can see here, it works. So we can go right, we can go left depending if I'm pressing it, and of course if I'm pressing just a little bit, then the value is smaller. But for example, I'm pressing nothing now, then it is not good. And therefore what you can do is define a dead zone. For example, now I'm not even touching the controller, this dude is walking, not good. So what we can actually do is, this is the interesting and easy part, we can define a dead zone. So what you can do is go here and say like, hey, Gamepad set access dead zone, which device 0, and then it will define the dead zone for both those thumbsticks. So this dude here and this dude also. So just be careful because you cannot define it just for one. Of course, I guess this is totally fine for most of the time. And this just means like, hey, after you have a value of 0.6 to the left and to the right side, so minus 0.6 and plus minus 0.6, you can actually start it. And therefore, the values which are being in here are being normalized. So this is how it works. Normally, once again, you have a value between 1 and 0, and then in here, this is how it goes. But now you are defining, let's say, a dead zone of between 0.6, so 0.6 minus and 0.6, and then here in this zone nothing is happening, but outside it you actually have values, and then they start at 0 to -1 once again. So you're just kind of pushing it to the left, and the same thing, you're pushing it to the right. So here 0 and -1. So let's check it out, because I defined it as this value, and let's for example start it. So now you will see, well, you cannot see it, I'm pressing, as you can see, as you can hear it, I'm just pressing it kind of a little bit and nothing is happening. And at some point, if I'm over the 0.6 threshold of total, then I get the normalized 0.22. And of course, if I'm pressing it a little bit more, of course here you are defining the dead zone, and then at some point you are taking, I took basically away well, 60% of the thing you can actually press, therefore nothing is happening to the left and to the right. Of course you can do this for horizontal and vertical also, but here this video tutorial should be short, 8 minutes, way too long. So hopefully you know how this works and how you can actually define the dead zone and how you can access the axis, because here they are treated differently because, hey, they have a range of values, and of course, hey, now you understand how that shenanigans work, and then boom, normalized values left and right. Hopefully that was of interest to you. Have a good one. One up indie.